Delivering a consistent client experience across multiple office locations is one of the most difficult operational challenges law firms face as they expand. Growth introduces variables that are not easily controlled: different teams, different markets, and different expectations. Yet for firms that prioritize long-term reputation over short-term expansion, consistency becomes the defining metric of success. For Chris Jackman, managing attorney of the Jackman Law Firm, consistency is not an abstract goal. It is a system built deliberately through processes, training, and leadership oversight. What began as a single office practice has grown into a multi-state firm with attorneys and staff operating across Washington, Colorado, and Texas, all while maintaining a unified approach to client service. The approach reflects a broader principle that applies to law firms at any stage of growth. Consistency is not the byproduct of scale. It is the result of disciplined operational design. At the core of a consistent client experience is a clear and repeatable system for how work is done. Without standardized processes, even the most talented teams will produce uneven results. Jackman has built his firm around defined workflows that guide how client matters are handled from intake through resolution. These systems are supported by technology platforms that track client interactions, case progress, and internal responsibilities. The use of CRM tools and workflow management systems provides visibility into every stage of the client journey, allowing leadership to ensure that no matter where a client enters the firm, the experience follows the same structure. This level of standardization serves two purposes. First, it reduces variability, ensuring that each client receives the same level of responsiveness and organization. Second, it creates accountability, making it clear who is responsible for each step in the process. For multi-office firms, this kind of operational clarity becomes essential. Without it, individual offices begin to develop their own practices, leading to fragmentation. Standardization, when implemented correctly, does not limit professional judgment. It provides a consistent framework within which that judgment is applied. If processes establish structure, communication defines perception. Clients evaluate their experience based largely on how informed, supported, and respected they feel throughout their engagement with a firm. One of the most effective ways to maintain consistency across locations is to establish firm-wide communication standards. At the Jackman Law Firm, this includes a strict expectation that all client inquiries are addressed within a defined timeframe, reinforcing reliability and responsiveness as non-negotiable elements of service. These standards are not left to interpretation. They are clearly articulated, reinforced through training, and monitored through internal systems. This ensures that a client in one office receives the same level of communication as a client in another, regardless of which attorney or staff member is assigned to their case. Jackman's emphasis on what he describes as brutal honesty in client interactions further strengthens this consistency. By encouraging direct, transparent communication, the firm reduces misunderstandings and builds trust across all client relationships. For growing firms, the lesson is straightforward. Consistency in communication is not achieved through good intentions. It requires defined expectations, measurable standards, and ongoing reinforcement. Standardized systems and communication protocols are only effective if teams are trained to execute them consistently. Training, in this context, is not a one-time onboarding exercise. It is an ongoing operational discipline. Jackman remains actively involved in training, particularly in areas that directly impact client experience. This includes not only legal work but also how team members interact with clients, manage expectations, and handle sensitive situations. His approach reflects a belief that consistency begins with shared understanding. Training at scale also requires structure. Regular meetings, including quarterly in-person sessions, provide opportunities to reinforce expectations, align teams across locations, and address any inconsistencies that may emerge. Equally important is the development of leadership within the organization. By placing trusted team members in leadership roles and empowering them to oversee their respective departments, Jackman extends the firm's standards beyond a single office. This distributed leadership model ensures that consistency is maintained not only through systems but through people who are accountable for upholding them. For law firms expanding geographically, investing in training is not optional. It is the mechanism through which standards are translated into daily practice. Consistency requires more than systems and training. It requires a culture of accountability where every team member understands their role in delivering the client experience. At the Jackman Law Firm, this is reinforced through a core value of ownership. Team members are expected to take responsibility for their work and for the outcomes associated with it. This mindset reduces the risk of tasks falling through the cracks and ensures that clients receive continuous attention throughout their engagement. Accountability is further supported by the firm's use of tracking systems and performance metrics. By monitoring key aspects of client service, such as response times and case progress, leadership can identify areas where standards are not being met and take corrective action. Jackman's approach to feedback also plays a critical role. Rather than avoiding criticism, he views client complaints as opportunities for improvement. This perspective allows the firm to refine its processes continuously, strengthening consistency over time. For multi-office firms, accountability must be both individual and systemic. Individuals must take ownership of their responsibilities, and the organization must provide the tools and oversight needed to support that ownership. Jackman has built his firm around a defined cultural framework that emphasizes client focus, ownership, and excellence. These values are not abstract concepts. They are integrated into hiring decisions, training programs, and daily operations. Maintaining this culture across multiple locations requires intentional effort. Regular communication, in-person meetings, and leadership engagement all contribute to reinforcing a shared identity. By ensuring that team members across different offices feel connected to the same mission and standards, the firm reduces the risk of cultural drift. Leadership visibility is particularly important. Jackman's hands-on approach, including direct involvement in training and client-related issues, signals to the entire organization that consistency is a priority. This visibility helps align teams and reinforces the importance of maintaining high standards in every office. For firms expanding into new markets, culture should be treated as an operational priority. It is not enough to replicate processes. The underlying values that drive those processes must be clearly defined and consistently reinforced. One of the risks of standardization is that it can lead to overly rigid processes that fail to account for the human side of legal work. Clients are not interchangeable, and their needs often require nuanced responses. Jackman's approach balances structure with flexibility. While systems provide a consistent framework, team members are encouraged to approach each client with empathy and understanding. This is particularly important in areas of law where clients may be facing significant personal challenges. Training plays a role here as well. By coaching team members to see situations from the client's perspective, the firm ensures that consistency does not come at the expense of personalization. Instead, it creates a consistent standard of care that can be adapted to individual circumstances. For multi-office firms, this balance is critical. Consistency should enhance the client experience, not diminish it. Systems should support human judgment, not replace it. Even with strong systems, training, and culture, consistency ultimately depends on leadership oversight. Leaders must actively monitor performance, address deviations, and reinforce expectations. Jackman's continued involvement in key aspects of the firm's operations reflects an understanding that leadership cannot be fully delegated. While responsibilities can be distributed, accountability remains at the top. This oversight includes reviewing performance metrics, engaging with team members, and staying connected to the client experience. By maintaining this level of involvement, leadership can ensure that standards are upheld across all locations. For growing law firms, this highlights an important principle. Expansion does not reduce the need for oversight. It increases it. Leaders must remain engaged, even as they build systems designed to scale. In a legal market where many firms compete on expertise alone, consistency in client experience has become a differentiating factor. Clients expect not only competent representation but also reliability, communication, and professionalism at every stage of their engagement. Jackman's approach demonstrates that this level of consistency is achievable. It requires intentional design, disciplined execution, and continuous refinement. Systems must be built, teams must be trained, and culture must be reinforced. Most importantly, leadership must remain committed to the principle that every client, regardless of location, deserves the same level of attention and professionalism. For law firms looking to expand, the message is clear. Growth is not measured by the number of offices. It is measured by the ability to deliver the same high standard of service in every one of them.